So you want to hike the West Highland Way in Scotland, or maybe a different long distance trail. Maybe you're just getting into long distance hiking, or you want to get into long distance hiking and you're looking for a few tips. Well, I've got a few basic tips here, in no order of importance, just basically as I thought of them and wrote them down. But I've done the West Highland Way twice now. The last time I did it just a couple of weeks ago. I will put a link up somewhere to the videos. If you are interested, please go and have a watch. They're really good. I hope you think they're really good anyway. Please watch them. It'll give you a good idea of the trail. But if you're wanting to hike the West Highland Way, I did see a few people all making what I would not term mistakes, but things that were making their lives more difficult on trail. So the purpose of this video is trying to help people that are just getting into long distance hiking or want to get into long distance hiking. When you've chosen the trail that you want, plan ahead. Taking the West Highland Way as an example for this video, basically, buy yourself a guidebook. I like the Cicerone series of guidebooks. I find them to be really good. There are other books available. Whatever floats your boat, pick one, buy it, read through it. Familiarise yourself with the type of terrain, the lengths of the sections, where you're going to be able to stop and purchase food and drink, if there's any camping restrictions, where you can get water. There's a lot of different stuff, and it seems a little bit overwhelming to start with, but it isn't. It's just simple things. It's food, water, sleep. That's pretty much it. You don't have to worry about much else when you're planning. Food, water, sleep. Where can you do those three things? Once you've got that sorted, everything else kind of falls into place. Do not try and do too much. It's tempting when you watch a lot of videos online of people doing these trails and things, and I'm guilty of this myself as well, and you watch people doing it and I've done 25 miles today, I've done 30 miles. You can't start out of the blocks and just do that. Build up to it. So plan to do 10 or 12 miles on your first day. Take it easy, ease yourself into it. Once you get a feel of what you can accomplish and what you can do, it's a lot easier and it's a lot more enjoyable. So number 2, this goes for many different trails. If you've decided on a certain trail you want to do, check which time of year is going to be best to do it on. A particular problem or a particular annoyance in Scotland is the midges. If you go in June, July, August, they're the 3 worst months. You are going to have to put up with the little biting buggers. Basically, for the West Highland Way, I find 2 times of year are very good. Early to mid-May and probably early to mid-September would be 2 pretty good times to go if you want to avoid the worst of the midges and still have a chance at having some good weather. Tip number 3, and this is one that I see a lot of people doing. Do not start a trail with a brand new pair of boots or shoes that haven't been worn in properly. That's probably one of the number 1 causes of blisters and foot problems. Either buy a pair of brand new boots or shoes about 2 or 3 months before you go and spend time breaking them in so that you know that they are comfy, or use a pair that you've had for a while that you know suit your feet well and that you get on with. Just make sure they've got some good grip on them. You do need good grip on the trail. This brings me on to tip number 4, which is blisters. It's easier to prevent blisters than it is to treat them. Blisters are the hiker's probably worst enemy. They always come up at the wrong time, in the wrong place, and cause you either a massive annoyance or a great deal of pain and discomfort. I've tried a lot of different footwear and a lot of different socks, and for me, what I've started using, or what I've gone back to using, should I say, I'll flash a link up on the screen. These are Injinji, that's the brand name, toe socks, and they are the liner socks, so they're very, very thin. But basically, you can probably see on the camera, they're like gloves for your feet. And then I use those first, and then on top of those, I use a darn tough. Again, I'll flash it up on screen, but this is a 1/4 crew hiker, I believe, and this is a merino blend. The darn tough socks are guaranteed for life. So they are expensive to start with, but with a lifetime guarantee, if you get a hole in it, even if you just wear it through out of normal use, they will replace it free of charge. So once you've bought that pair of socks, you don't need to worry about buying another pair of socks. So I have an Injinji crew liner on first, and then over the top of it, I put the darn tough hiker. And what that does is, that creates a little bit of movement between the socks. So rather than between my foot and the shoe, or my foot and the sock, which is where blisters start. So look after your feet, make sure your footwear fit and that they're comfortable and that they're well worn in. The moment that you feel a hot spot, you'll feel it as well. The moment you feel a hot spot starting to form on your foot, stop walking, take your shoe off, take your socks off, and get something on that hot spot. Some moleskin, some KT tape, anything to put a barrier between that hot spot and the thing that's causing the friction. It could be anything causing the friction. It could be a little bump, a manufacturing bump in the shoe. It could be a seam inside your sock. I've had that before. So look after your feet. If you don't, it will ruin your trip, or it has the potential to ruin your trip. Tip number 5, walking poles or trekking poles are not just for old people. I used to think they were. They ain't. Walking poles have so many different uses. I mean, I use them basically to prop up my tent. That I have, my Durston Gear tent uses trekking poles to keep it up, so that's one good thing. But they also, as I said, help give you balance if you're having to cross a marshy area, a stream, anything like that. They help you when you're going uphill, and they help you massively when you're going downhill. They really do take some strain off your knees. So if you're one of the people like that, no, trekking poles aren't for me, they're for older people. No, they're not. They're for everyone that is doing a long distance trail, that's putting in the miles every day, and they do help. You don't look silly using, well, you might look silly using them, I don't know. But loads of people use them, so consider, if you're going to do a long distance trail, consider getting yourself a pair of decent trekking poles. Just as an aside to that, if your poles are going to hold up your tent, I find that the poles that twist lock aren't very good for that. I find them quite awkward. I prefer the poles with the kind of snap locks on them. I find them much easier to adjust if you're holding your tent up with them. So that's just an aside. Tip number 6. This is another common one that you'll see on any trail you walk, any long distance trail. You will see people using pack covers. You do not need a pack cover. This is a personal annoyance of mine. I've had one in the past and I've used it, and I found it horrendous. It flapped about in the wind, rain got in underneath it. It was just more of a hindrance than a help. You don't need them. They're just a gimmick devised by the backpack industry to take some money off you and make you carry some more weight. You don't need it. Don't get a pack line, don't get a pack cover, get a pack liner. And that can be anything. That can be like a bin liner. That can be some smaller dry bags. Bag your stuff inside your pack and it'll do just as good a job, believe me. Number 7, don't overload your pack. And a prime example of this is a guy that I met on the PCT in Washington, who we were sat around the campfire and we were talking about things we wish we hadn't brought with us on the trail. Mine was actually a tripod at the time. I'd actually sent it home like the first week in the post. I was like, nah, that's silly. This guy's thing that he wished he hadn't brought with him was an electric shaver and the charging plug. I mean, you're going to be out for 6 months in the wilderness. I mean, if you want that to be your luxury item and you're prepared to carry that weight, fair play to you, but you really don't need it. If you're going through your stuff for the trip, for your trail, and you're looking at things and you're thinking, do I really need that? Am I going to use it? The answer is you're probably not going to use it, and you can probably leave it at home. So really be selective about what you actually need. And you will soon find, after a couple of trips, you'll figure it out yourself, that it's amazing what you can do without when you're out for a week or 2 weeks or however long it may be. So yeah, you don't need to take that folding chair with you at all. Leave it at home. So tip number 8. This goes for the West Highland Way in particular, but any long distance trail really. Carry a water filter. Water is heavy. Carrying a lot of water between stops is a pain in the... So, I have with me 2 popular water filters. This one is a Sawyer Squeeze, and this is the one I prefer to use at the moment just because it's really, really reliable. Basically, all you do is you get some bags with it, or you can actually screw it onto the top of a plastic water bottle. It fits on there. Or you can get some aftermarket pouches as well. You fill your receptacle with water, you screw your Sawyer Squeeze on, you pop open the cap and squeeze whatever receptacle you've got, and hey presto, water comes out. It's much easier to carry the water filter and stop regularly to filter water than it is to carry 2, 3, 4 litres of water with you. This is another good filter that's very popular. This is the Katadyn or Katadyn, however you want to pronounce it, B3. And basically what it is, it's just a soft flask. This is the 0.6 litre version. There is another version that's slightly larger, I believe. Just a soft flask. So you fill that with water. This is your cap basically. That's the filter section. You screw that back in, and straight away all you do is drink straight from the bottle. It's that easy. This one is really popular for shorter hikes and day hikes and things like that, because you literally don't have to do a great deal at all. You don't need to carry any extra equipment, just this. Scoop the water up, pop your filter top in, screw it on, and that is it. You've got 600 ml of water ready to go. So, as I say, carrying the filter, they are worth their weight in gold, and they save you a lot of weight in water. Water brings me on to tip number 9, which is another common one that I see people doing. This is a SIG, other brands are available, metal water bottle, and you'll see these stashed in a lot of hikers' backpacks along with the Nalgene bottles and other plastic metal bottles. This weighs roughly 150 grams when it's empty. This is a 1 litre plastic water bottle that weighs 30 grams when it's empty. They do the same job. They do exactly the same job. They carry your water. I am not going to carry dead weight with me for no apparent reason. There is no advantage whatsoever to carrying this over this. This is fully recyclable. You can pick them up anywhere. Pretty much any shop will sell you a bottle of water. It will last, I mean, these things lasted me weeks and weeks on the PCT. So you do not need your fancy trusty water bottle that's got stickers all over it. Leave it at home. It's dead weight. Please don't use it. Just use a shop bought 30 gram 1 litre bottle, 1.5 litre, whatever it is. Save you some weight. Tip number 10, Scotland in particular has very unpredictable weather. It can change very quickly, as can any mountainous area. Rather than bringing clothes that aren't suitable for the climate, it's better to carry layers, multifunctional layers. Try and stay away from cotton. Anything cotton just doesn't handle moisture well, i.e. sweat or rain. It takes a long time to dry. It's just not good. Try and go for synthetic fibres or merino wool. Advantages of synthetic fibres: they dry pretty quickly, they're pretty tough. Some of them have got odour treatment in there, so they can handle smell a little bit better than other things. Merino wool handles smell really well. You can have a merino pair of underwear on for, well, you tell me how long you can have a merino pair of underwear on. I've done probably 5 or 6 days with the same pair when I've been out on trail, and you're probably all gipping right now. But no, you can do it, and basically, once again, you've got to take into account where you're going, how long you're going for, what the weather's going to be like, and what you're going to encounter. So try to take lighter layers that you can swap out during the day. Like I generally tend to travel with like something like this, like a lightweight short sleeve shirt that I generally walk in. I've recently purchased, which I'm probably going to do another video on, a very, very lightweight top from Farpoint Outdoor Gear. That's an alpha hoodie. It's kind of like a fleece top, basically. I've got a windproof top, which I never used to use, which I've started using a lot now. I'm getting a lot of benefit from, and then like a puffy jacket, and then a rain jacket as well. So you can shed layers, or you can put layers on whenever you need to. Tip number 11, you're probably going to get some aches and pains. You might get some swelling on trail. I've found it's best to carry some ibuprofen tablets, because basically not only are they pain relief, they're pretty fast acting, and they do help with swelling as well. So like on the West Highland Way last time, I did get some swelling in my right ankle, I believe it was. Yep, my right ankle. The ibuprofen did help. It took a little bit of the pain away and took some of the swelling down. So ibuprofen, not Disprin or paracetamol. Ibuprofen, the hiker's friend. So make sure you've got some of those in your first aid kit. Tip number 12, and this applies to all different types of terrains, but especially places with long grass or things like that, basically where ticks can hide. If you don't know what ticks are, they're these tiny little... What a loud bird! Tiny little insects that basically attach themselves to you and start sucking on your blood. Yeah, nice. You can get Lyme disease from them. It can turn out to be quite nasty. It sounds like a little bit of a joke, but they can turn out to be quite nasty. So don't take them lightly at all. Familiarise yourself with what they look like and know how to remove them as well. You can buy a tick removing tool off the internet for a couple of quid, a couple of pounds basically, and it's worth just carrying one with you. If you're in the sort of areas, like I say, long grass and ferns and all sorts of undergrowth and things like that, and you've got bare skin showing, make sure you check yourself regularly, especially on an evening before you go to bed. Just check yourself, make sure there's nothing stuck to you that shouldn't be stuck to you. Another tip, and I've been guilty of this myself, is watch your footing. And it sounds the simplest little thing, and it sounds like, you know, a stupid thing to fall over when you're looking at something, but I found on the West Highland Way, especially when you're walking up the side of Loch Lomond, it's so beautiful and it's so picturesque that you find yourself just gazing out at it, out at the loch, or gazing at something else, just gazing at scenery. If you're walking at the side of a valley or something, you just find yourself being drawn away from the trail, and oh wow, that's really pretty, isn't it? That's beautiful. And before you know it, you've stumbled over a root or a rock. So try and I'm not saying keep your eyes down all the time, but just remember that you're walking on uneven terrain and just pay attention, basically. Tip number 14 isn't really a tip, it's more a principle. If you're camping especially, even if you're just hiking during the day, leave no trace. Please carry a plastic bag with you that you can put all your rubbish or trash in, and whatever you take into the wilderness or the countryside, please put it in that plastic bag and take it back out with you. Final tip, number 15. Above all else, enjoy it. That's what you are there for. You are there to enjoy yourself. You are there to appreciate the scenery. You are there to have a good time. Engage with other hikers. They are all there for the same reason, and you will meet some fantastic people. You will meet people from all over the world. Doesn't matter what trail you're doing, where you are. You will meet people with different stories. You will probably help people. You might be helped by people on the trail. It's a brilliant community. It really is. So yeah, even if you're just sat at a cafe, I met a couple on the West Highland Way from Huddersfield. They invited me to come and sit with them at the table, which was brilliant of them because there was no other tables free. And we had a great chat for 10 or 15 minutes while we had our food. Well, I thought we did. I might have pissed them off, I don't know. But I enjoyed it. Yeah, swap stories. Just take the time to say hello to someone. Take the time to check if someone's all right, if they're looking a bit down. You know, if they're looking like they're injured or they've got a problem, ask them if they're okay. Just add to somebody else's experience. And somebody, I can guarantee it, somebody will add to your experience. So that's pretty much all my tips. I really hope that you found at least one of them helpful, and if you've watched this far, thank you very much, I do appreciate it. If you found anything useful, I would love you to subscribe. I'm trying to get to the magic number of subscribers. Please consider subscribing. Put a comment on. More importantly, if you've got any tips yourself, please put them in the comments below so that other people can benefit from them. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have an excellent day, and wherever you're hiking next, I hope you have a great trip. Take care.